Good evening. My name is Nazima Khan, and I'll be presenting my synthesis paper on behavior management for my course SPED 206 Trends and Issues in Special Education. I'll start with my content page. I have my acknowledgement, synthesis on behavior management, introduction, body, and conclusion, link to my old presentation and my reference. I first like to start with my acknowledgement. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Almighty God for providing me with this wonderful opportunity to further my education. I'd like to thank my lecturer, Ms. Liana Alexander, for providing me with this opportunity to work this task and for her guidance and encouragement. This assignment taught me a lot about behavior management in practice. Finally, I'd like to express my heartfelt gratitude to my friends and family without whom this project would not have been a success, especially my mother, who is also my biggest supporter. Finally, I'd like to thank my dear colleagues in this program who have always been there for me. Disruptive behavior and discipline issues are among the top concerns of today's school staff and community members. Classroom behavior issues increase stress levels for both the teacher and the learners. They also change the dynamic of the classroom by diverting attention away from academic tasks and toward direct distractions. But only treating the individual learners in the classroom is not going to solve a classroom behavior problem. Treating a single child as the source of the classroom misbehavior is most likely to deflect attention from other characteristics of the problem. Effective behavior management in schools is fostered by the approach of policies, the understanding of the behavior displayed, and strategies implemented in the classroom. Working with individual students in the classroom might not be enough to address a classroom behavior issue. A classroom environment has its own ecology and ultimately includes the teacher, the students, and the way they interact with each other. Both the teacher and the students are bringing life experience and issues from the larger ecological system that they live and work into the classroom. Calling a child a problem can deflect attention away from a close examination of the classroom ecology as well as the larger school, family, and community context. The purpose of this paper is to provide some insight into the most effective methods of behavior management. It will begin by discussing approaches or common policies in the schools. Then there is an understanding of the behavior displayed in the classroom. Finally, some potential solutions and approaches for how a teacher might handle the problems are presented. The approach or policy chosen in schools promote effective behavior management. The most effective behavior policy are those that are specific to the individual needs of each school. They must be simple and clear with no room for misunderstanding. You cannot expect staff and students to understand good behavior in the same way that you do. If you cite low-level disruptions as a reason to issue a warning, you must define that this entails. There are policies in place to deal with particularly disruptive students. The zero tolerance approach, in which any student who does not comply with behavior standards is expelled from school, is an extreme form of this. These strategies may also have long-term consequences for a learner's life as they have in the past. This three-tier framework entails exposing all students to a positive, preventative, social skill curriculum that supports the school's academic mission. If properly implemented, this initiative should influence 70 to 80% of the student's body toward more positive classroom behavior. Schools are giving students an incomplete education by not allowing them to express themselves emotionally in a safe environment and instead sending the message that they are not good enough to receive an education. If intervention and counseling can be provided in schools when behavior problems first arrive, perhaps there will be fewer crimes in the future because individuals will have received the social and emotional education required to act and respond more pro-socially to others. Skinner is credited with developing the first all-encompassing theory of educational behavior management. His work was based on the theory that positive reinforcement determines human behavior, and he used this idea to account for the more controlled environment of the classroom. Skinner's system is a type of operant conditioning in which the teacher provides nearly constant feedback to students in order to help them gradually modify their behavior. Negative reinforcement can lead students to view negativity in the classroom situations, particularly when the student's misbehavior is a result of underlying issues rather than intentional meanness. In isolating students, the classroom teacher must use their best judgment to figure out the correct action. When confronted with the attention-seeking behavior, extreme caution is required because it may feed a child's desire for attention and thus be countered proactive. Skinner's theory can be useful and practical in some situations, but how far does it go in positively modifying a student's behavior in society? The simplified system necessitated by classroom needs does not directly compare to anything children will encounter in their daily lives. The main issue when implementing this policy is that it makes little or no allowance for pupils' input, making it appear disconnected from their daily lives. Secondly, understanding the learner's behavior is also essential in behavior management. For most teachers, classroom management and student discipline are the greatest challenge they will encounter. Most of the time, these behaviors come in numerous forms such as lack of motivation, non-compliance with rules, resistance to routines, refusal to work with their class, and even social or behavioral issues. These behaviors may stem from either the students or the teachers and often occur at the converging point of both family issues are one of the most common causes of classroom misbehaviors. Some of these in-class reasons for disruption and misbehavior overlap with the teacher's responsibility in the classroom. Age, gender, time of the day, part of the lesson being taught, seating arrangement, learning activity, and subject matter are all factors that can affect the student during a disruption. Disruptions are commonly during transitional periods between activities when a teacher's structure and order are lacking. A society must be made up of people of various ages in order to be complete. To that extent, children are an important part of society. They are significant because they represent society's future. A society that fails to understand and monitor the behavior of its children is likely to have a number of outcasts when the children reach adulthood. A student of a child behavior will allow one to understand child behavior patterns and factors that contribute to both positive and negative children. While there is no great emphasis on issues concerning proper child rearing in the past, today's children live in a very different society. A child's behavior is finally shaped by the environment within which he grows up. These behavior disorders can include sadness, anxiety, withdrawal, and in serious instances, suicidal inclinations in children. While the world has developed and children have been traditionally neglected, there has been a rise in diseases and disorders in children. Diseases and disorders affect children today include bipolar disorder, depression, attention deficiency hyperactive disorder, eating distress, and obsessive compulsive behavior, among others. A study of child behavior will help a lot in providing answers to these questions. A society that neglects its child is sure to perish in due time. Proper health care must not be interrupted in a narrow way to convey its meaning in a medical sense only. In addition, positive behavior management practices in schools are guided by classroom-based strategies. Educators may rethink their approach to organize the classroom environment and address behavioral issues as they relate to a calmer classroom scene. Most problematic behaviors emerge when there are no clear expectations for rules and routines established at the beginning of the course, as students will not know what's expected of their behavior in the class. Class size is a problem that affects students' engagement that a teacher may not be able to control but should be aware of. A teacher may be subconsciously influenced by stereotypes to have expectation of some students and different expectations from others. Therefore, it is important for teachers to become aware of the fact that many or perhaps all of their students have not had the same life experiences with circumstances, challenges, etc. as the teacher. By becoming acquainted with the backgrounds of their students, a teacher can implement a culturally responsive pedagogy and engage students at all levels. To conclude, issues with classroom behavior increases stress levels for both the teacher and the students. Targeting a child as the source of misbehavior in the classroom may divert attention away from the aspect of the problem. Behavior policies that are simple and clear with no room for ambiguity are the most effective. Skinner is credited with creating the first comprehensive theory of educational behavior management. The initiative is if properly implemented, should influence 70 to 80% of the body toward most positive classroom behaviors. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.